Evangelion is a silly anime. Why do people like it so much? Looks like a silly story about a boy in a giant robot fighting monsters in every episode. What's so special about that? Why does this anime have such a cult following? Let's take a look. My name is Ankur and this is Ankur Chips, where I just chip in on different things. Today we are going to break down Evangelion. What's the story? Why was it such a huge success? And why oh why is it still so popular? So buckle up your seatbelts and prepare for liftoff. Neon Genesis Evangelion is a mecha anime series from the mid-90s, produced by the studio Gainax and directed by Hideaki Anno. The series aired between October 95 and March 96 and was followed by two theatrical films in 1997. The first one was called Death and Rebirth and the second one, The End of Evangelion. Not really. There also exists a rebooted version known as The Rebuild of Evangelion, which is a series of 4 movies released between 2007 and 2021 that somewhat retells the original story but then veers off into a wholly new direction. So what's the story of this anime and what in the world is an Evangelion? Let's find out. The plot of Neon Genesis Evangelion is complex and multi-layered. This anime is set in a post-apocalyptic world in the year 2015? Alright then, you have to remember that the show came out in the 90s. In this dystopian future in the year 2015, the world is living in the aftermath of a great calamity that struck 15 years before, called the Second Impact. Why second? Well, the first impact was the collision that resulted in the formation of the moon. Second impact caused the melting of the ice caps, which resulted in the flooding of many regions across the world, which in turn led to further strife and mayhem. India and Pakistan pretty much obliterated each other with nuclear warfare and whatnot. The world was totally screwed. Basically, half the world's population, that is about 3 billion people, did not survive this period. And now, 15 years later, this battered human race is forced to deal with yet another adversity. This time, in a war against a race of deadly giant beings known as the angels? Well, what an irony, right? These angels are terrifying beasts appearing unannounced and seeking the destruction of humankind. They refuse to follow the common laws of science, and no matter what you choose to throw at them, even if that's the most lethal missile in the world, you cannot even leave a scratch on these monsters. So what's the only thing that can stop these angels? You guessed it, it's the Evangelions, a line of humanoid robots that can only be ridden by some special kids. One such chosen young boy is our protagonist Shinji Ikari, who at the start of the series is summoned by his estranged father Gendo Ikari to the headquarters of NERV, a secret organization in charge of fighting the angels, of which Gendo is the leader. Shinji is forced to pilot Evangelion Unit 01 in order to fight the angels and protect humankind. This of course is a very tall order to place on any youngling, and the gruesome job quickly takes a heavy toll on Shinji's already less than ideal mental health. Shinji is joined in his fights against the angels by 2 other pilots, Rei Ayanami and Asuka Langley Soryu. Rei is a quiet, mysterious and antisocial girl who has a deep admiration for Shinji's father Gendo, which is puzzling to Shinji as he has only ever seen his father's not-so-nice side. Asuka is a brash and competitive girl who is the best Evangelion pilot that the world has ever seen, and so she bosses everyone around. The 3 pilots have almost nothing in common other than having the hardest time gelling with each other, but they must work together to defeat the angels and save humanity. At the same time, they must also deal with their own personal issues and struggles. Shinji is dealing with his abandonment issues, Rei is dealing with her lack of identity, and Asuka is dealing with her fear of intimacy. As you can see, the characters in Neon Genesis Evangelion are complex and well developed. Each is trying to find themselves and dealing with the trauma of their difficult pasts. Gendo Ikari is a cold, calculating man willing to do anything to achieve his goals, but for some reason fails to show any warmth towards his own son. Misato Katsuragi, a major at NERV, is a caring and supportive woman who acts as a mother figure to Shinji, but is an alcoholic mess and hasn't been able to forgive her late father. And there are many other interesting characters and relationships throughout the course of the show. To be honest, I feel that this show just pretends to be a mecha anime, but is actually a very psychological series hiding behind that fun label. In fact, if you go into the show wanting to see a lot of amazing robot action, you will be rewarded in the start, but eventually you might be disappointed. However, if you develop an interest in the psyche of the various characters, the show's conclusion will leave you with some crazy food for thought. Without going into spoilers, the way the series finishes isn't everyone's cup of tea, but it's also the reason that the show has the cult status that it has. You have to experience it for yourself to know what the fuss is about. Talking about the themes presented in this show, there is everything from struggling with one's identity to religion and beliefs to existentialism to morality during the times of war and violence, and of course, the psychological impact of all of these on very real and very human characters. The visual quality of Evangelion was groundbreaking at the time of its release. Of course, it has been a few decades since then, but it has that old anime charm to it. You know what I'm talking about. Something that the fluidly animated shows these days fail to capture sometimes. Trust me, the art of this show is brilliant and stands its own to this day. One thing I find a very interesting choice in this anime is that all the Evangelions look and feel organic rather than mechanical robots, which I believe was genre breaking at the time. The show is filled with such thoughtful decisions that elevated the story above others. The series also features some of the most iconic and memorable action scenes in anime history. So much so that it has been paid homage to and parodied over and over in many forms in various Japanese media. It is one of those shows that everyone is aware about and loves to discuss and debate during social gatherings. I know I have. It is a critical and commercial success, widely regarded as one of the greatest anime series of all time, and super influential on pop culture with references and parodies in numerous other works. And to top it off, it has a killer soundtrack which just elevates the story and visuals to another level. The opening song of the show is also extremely popular and iconic, and so much fun to listen, sing, and dance along to. Evangelion is a must-watch for any fan of anime or science fiction, and especially of psychological drama. If you're convinced to give this show a go, you might be wondering how to go about it. There's the original story and the rebuild movies. Where should you start from? Which one can you skip? Watch out for my next video, which I will link right here, where I go into this in detail. If you like this, do give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think about Evangelion down in the comments. Until next time, this is Ankur checking out.